Hello and welcome to this edition of WCS Sports Connection Coaches Preview Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Qualls, and it's basketball time here in the WCS Sports Conference. I'm so excited for basketball to begin. We have four great coaches with us today. We have the Franklin Lady Rebels Coach Goodwin and the Summit Lady Spartans Coach Goodwin as well, being Josh and Kari. This is an exciting time. We were talking off the air when I took this job. I didn't know a soul here at the WCS except four people, and all four of us are with us today, and I'm excited about meeting with you guys. How are you guys doing today? Good. Kari, we're going to start with you. Give us a little bio real quick about yourself and what you've been doing up until this point, coaching-wise.
Well, I went to Easel Harding Christian School. I graduated there in 2003 under Joey Spann, played for him. And then I got a basketball scholarship at Freed-Hardeman University, played 4 years underneath Del Neal. And then from there, I had the blessed opportunity to work at Lexington High School with you, and spent 2 years there, and then went to Page Middle School. And then where ultimately led here was I was at Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, worked under John Wild there. And
pretty successful program.
Yeah, it was not bad. And then, of course, led me to Franklin.
Okay, excellent. Josh, with you?
Started at Belmont University, played there 4 years. Went from there, got into teaching and coaching. Actually played high school for one of the guys you're going to have coming up next in the boys. But when I started coaching, bounced in Cheatham County between Sycamore and Harpeth High School for a few years. Was the head boys coach and head girls coach for 2 years at Sycamore before coming down here to Summit for the last 2 years.
This is a very unusual situation where we have two girls coaches that are spouses, and that's for interesting talk. But a little backstory: when Coach Goodwin, when Kari came to Lexington, we had an opportunity to work together, and I recruited you hard to help me coach, and he turned me down. I don't know what that means. I guess Coach Williamson probably gave you some pointers on what not to do, and it's probably take a job under me. But interesting thing that we've got a past. I had an opportunity to work with you as a high school kid when I was coaching early in my career. And, our relationship goes way back, and I appreciate you guys. Now, being a spouse, this brings pros and cons, obviously, when you are competing. I know both of you are extreme competitors. I mean, it's like we said earlier, we're at the dinner table, past the salt and pepper, and your scouting report for tonight so I can see what's going on. So give us an inside view of the Goodwin household this week leading up to this game.
It takes a lot of the pressure and preparation out of it because it really makes it easier for us because we are at each other's games. We discuss practice drills, plays, concepts, things like that. So everybody likes to ask us about the pressure on us, but it really takes it off of us because we know each other so well, and we know what we like to do, that it comes down to, really in my mind, a perfect world where it's about the players and them making plays. And that takes a lot off of us because we're going to make adjustments, but we kind of know each other's adjustments before we make them. So it really comes down to players making plays.
Does it bother you, Kari, that I guess not bother you is the word. Maybe it's not as bad if you lose a game, and I know we hate to lose, but if you lose a game to your husband, is it bad, worse, same, and different? What?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I haven't lost to him yet. So.
Do we like have house bets? Like if you lose, you're going to have to do such and such, or clean the house, wash the dishes. I don't know. Is there anything internally that we do maybe different?
We haven't made any bets because we're pretty comical and pretty realistic about some of the things. But it is fun. I have to tell you a quick little story. Like last year when we were at Summit. Josh was calling a play, and we knew and scouted and knew exactly what they were about to run. And so I called for a trap in the corner. Well, he called a timeout right before that. And wouldn't you know it, he knew what I was doing. So we trapped, and he backdoored, and they scored. And I looked at him. I literally looked at him and was like, are you kidding me? Like he knew it ahead of time.
So who makes that the better coach then?
I know that it's frustrating because he knows exactly what I'm going to do and I know what he's going to do.
So a typical night in the Goodwin household is watching game film together on an opponent, I'm sure, right? So it makes it easy for a scouting report wise, and I'm sure you have a 2-year-old son, Max, and he's out there doing drills and saying, "Now look, if you're in this defensive position, Max, get down." I mean, I can see the parity of all that, and it makes for an interesting situation between you guys. Right now, the Lady Rebels are sitting at 7-10, 1-3 in the district. Lady Spartans are sitting at 6-11, 1-3 in the district. Both of you are tied for fourth. Tonight's game is kind of huge. It can separate the pack. We have a middle of the pack group right now, about 4 teams that could go either way. District tournament's going to be fantastic on the ladies' side because of the parity of that. Let's talk about real quick. Let's start with you, Kari, on the your player spotlight. Let's talk about a few of your players right now.
We got a freshman that's come to us, Holly Harris, who has brought a really strong presence in our offense. She does a lot of great things on defense, but she brings a different type of some offensive looks that we weren't able to do last year, and so I'm pretty excited about her. We have a junior, Jody Hill, who gives us another strong presence outside. She's a guard, and she also can get mismatches, and we can post her up inside. So, we got 2 nice dynamics that we can go to pretty consistently, and, a supporting cast that, hopefully will show up tonight. So.
The Harris girl, if I'm not mistaken, her sister played at Freed-Hardeman, correct? So she's got a pedigree of playing.
Yeah, Hannah played for me 2 years and got a full scholarship at Freed-Hardeman University.
Well, that's excellent, and I know that I've seen Holly play, and she's, being a freshman, does not carry herself like a freshman on the floor and playing well. Josh, with your team?
We're very young, and I could talk about probably 8 to 10 girls, but the one that stands out for us is Zakaria Esmond. She's a sophomore, and she stepped her game up in a number of ways, just work ethic and leadership, but more so maturity. And that's at that age, you've got to become mature and kind of, when you have a lot of responsibility on you, make those adjustments and understand that the pressure is a good thing.
Well, I caught you guys play against CPA over the winter break, and I noticed that she was extremely athletic. On her jump shot, gets off the floor high, rebounds the ball extremely well for a girl of her size. I mean, she's not overly big, but she's a guard in her position, and does a lot of good things, pretty strong. I see a bright future for her in your program. Speaking of, earlier we talked about Belmont and Freed. Let's talk about the college level. You both played college basketball. What do you bring to the table, Josh, that possibly you learned with Coach Bird at Belmont that applies to the high school game?
Sometimes too much, because I have a bad habit of trying to run too much or trying to put in too much stuff and not taking into account basketball experience and basketball IQ. Sometimes there's a lot of that, and sometimes there's a lack of it. And so I will constantly I'll draw new things up in a huddle that they haven't seen before, and I expect them to be able to do it. But I think it gives me, I'm a little more well-rounded. Like I can come up with some things, but sometimes I do overcomplicate it for our girls. But just the understanding of the game, it helped a ton.
That's funny that you say that. I made the same mistake coming out of Austin Peay when I went to Lewisburg down in Marshall County, and we're going to run this set, we're going to do these things, we're going to have 27 quick hitters, and we're going to run off secondary and do these things, and we're going to run the UCLA high set there, and Trent Hassel is nowhere to be found. I played with Trent. He's a 10-year veteran of the NBA, and I'm thinking, we ran this stuff, and it was so easy. Yeah. But then you realize that the level of intelligence basketball-wise and the experience that they have. So when I went to Lexington, I had to take a different approach. We kept the old KISS method, as you say. We had a base offense that we ran to death. Everybody knew it was coming, but we were good at doing it, and we had to kind of dumb it down, if you will, not necessarily because of the kids, but just because of the fact of the experience level of those players. What about you and Coach Neal?
Coach Neal is a very defensive-minded coach, and he puts us in opportunities where, our defense is going to lead to a lot of offensive opportunities, and I try to mimic a lot of stuff with girls that have played for me. I feel like I'm a very defensive-minded coach, and so I stress a lot in practice. Just situations that we're going to hopefully put them in to get us opportunities to get shots underneath the basket. Transition, whether it's a steal and then a layup, just it's certain aspects like that. Like, I like to carry over, but, also Girls basketball, it's so interesting. Like Josh and I joke about it all the time. It comes down to layups and threes with girls basketball, and so if you can be if you're good at one of them, you're pretty successful. So we just need to show up tonight and be good at both of them.
Did you find it hard too, as well? The small nuances of the offense when the play's broken, the kids have to think on their own. That's always a difficult thing to coach at this level. Number two, I always figured out that team defense, for whatever reason, is not the easiest to coach at the high school level, because you have to have a mindset that you're going to go in and play good, hard-nosed defense on the ball, and everybody else has to be in the correct position if that breaks down.
Right.
And with that being in mind, do you like a zone defense, or would you rather play a man-to-man, or would you like to play a little trash, jump? What is your defensive philosophy?
I think Josh and I both agree. We really don't like zone. We are just man-to-man. If you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us straight up. A lot of times I like to put pressure up on the guards and force them to make bad decisions quick. And so, we hopefully put opponents in opportunities where we can get that, look. So, I don't know. Defensive-wise, I think Josh and I both think the same, so it should be a really good matchup tonight.
So, with that being in mind, offensively, Josh, obviously it's going to be guard heavy, like she said. She wants to put the pressure on there. Offensively, what is your philosophy? What do you like to do? Is it inside out? Is it more guard-oriented cutting, or UCLA high low? What is kind of your philosophy?
I prefer to go inside out. This is just kind of my background, because if you can score one-on-one from 4 feet away, then you got to send a double, and then we want to be able to shoot from the outside. I would love to never call a set. Now, we've got 40 of them, but I would love to never call one if we're good enough to run a motion and get scores out of that, because I think for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're not relying on one person, so you can't just scout and say they're coming off this screen, they're going to get this shot for this girl. If everybody has an opportunity to score on every pass or every possession, then you take what's there, and it kind of gives your players confidence that they're on the floor to score, so they're going to do their job. You put them in positions to be successful.
I'm sure that you and every other coach in the district feels the same way as that. But that's a very good philosophy. All right, we've got roughly 2 minutes left in this segment, so let's do a rundown of the sports conference, WCS sports conference, as it sits right now. You guys obviously sitting tied for fourth. What is your prediction? Who do you feel has a good chance, possibility early on to win the district? Let's get your take first.
To win the district,
and you can put yourself in there, but most of the time we're going to be very modest. So who do you think the favorite going into the tournament?
I think Dixon. Dixon is just, Coach Hamilton. She does such a great job. She has so much talent, and all 5 girls on the floor at the time can score, and so that's hard to guard. And it's not
too shabby to have an SEC signing.
Yeah, it's not
bad.
Too.
So
it's not bad.
There's a lot of arguments out there that Dixon, Riverdale, or Dixon Blackman are on a collision course for the AAA state. What do you think?
I agree. Dixon's head and shoulders above everybody else. When you have 5 girls who can all shoot the ball, that's hard to guard. And when one of them happens to be All-American, that doesn't hurt. So they're just very well-rounded. It would take a big upset to knock them off.
When you have a team like that, what are you on bet? You don't have to call too many sets. You can set something and run it, do what you want to do. Well, you both coming off losses from Tuesday night. Summit was at Brentwood, 44-33 loss. That's it. If there's such thing as a good loss, you guys showed well against Brentwood, and Franklin Ravenwood back and forth, who's undefeated in the district currently, 47-41. So mentally, get over that hump. Mm-hmm. Best of luck to both of you. I look forward to see how this plays out. I appreciate both of y'all personally for having fun with me today, and I look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thanks.
When we come back, we'll have the boys' side, Franklin and Summit. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What should I make my password? Oh, I know. I'll make my password password. Passwords should be unique, private, non-personal, and secure. Use more than one word. Use different character classes, use symbols and numbers, and use multiple passwords for different sites. And always remember, never to share your passwords.
Hello and welcome back to WCS Sports Connection Coaches Preview Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Qualls. This second half of the segment, we have the boys' side, and the other half of the 4 people that I knew coming into this job, the only 4 people that I knew, Coach Ladd of the Summit Spartans, Old Sparty, as I've dubbed them all year long, 12-5, 2-2 in the district, and Jamie Wilson, coach of Franklin Rebels, sitting right now 9-8, 2-2. You're both tied for third, going into the middle of the meat of your schedule. The district, this is going to be you're going to be bumping heads all the way through for those that anywhere from first to sixth place with 4 to 5 teams. Be interesting how this plays out. Let's talk real quick, Coach. Let's start off with your bio. Let people know what you've been doing up to this point.
I was coach for 12 years over at Harpeth High School. I'm in my second year now at Franklin, and been fortunate to coach several good players, one of which you had on the set here just a little while ago. In Coach Josh Goodwin. So, been fortunate to coach some really good players and mentor a lot of good young men. So, that's pretty much it.
Okay, Coach Ladd.
Well, I'm a Williamson County lifer. This is year 17. Started out at Centennial and was there for 5 years. Went to Page for 8, and was head coach there. Now this is year 4 for us at Summit.
Well, I've took plenty of losses from both of you, and over the years, from being at Lewisburg, we were in the district together, obviously, and then we played in tournaments against each other when I was at Lexington. Fun times. Those relationships that you have, regardless of win losses, that just goes with you through life. And I appreciate both of you guys so much. Love the jobs that you're doing so far. Enjoy watching your teams. I appreciate you giving me the behind-the-scenes access on some things, and that kind of gets my taste. Or it just takes care of a small little itch that may be there, and then I come back to my reality when I go home and I see my wife, because she's like, "Do not get any, any thoughts on going back to coaching." But I appreciate both of you a whole lot. Unfortunately, this week you both have taken losses. Summit, you played at Brentwood Tuesday night, 72-49 loss. I don't think the score is an indication of how the game went. 5-point game at half. Give us a little bit of insight of what happened.
Yeah, we played really well first half, and we're down 5, and third quarter, we got a little tired, and they changed their defense a little bit, and I think that forced us into some bad shots, and bad shots lead to transition baskets on the other end. They got hot, and we tried to catch up and continue to press and foul and shoot threes, and weren't making many, so they stretched that out to a big lead.
Could that be just a little bit attributed to the growing pains? I hate to say that word with you right now, because I feel like you're making the curve. You're making the turn.
Yeah.
You're making that plateau of where you want to get to. It's a young school, been open 4 years now.
Right.
And you've got a lot of young talent, a lot of young players. That mental capacity right now may not be there. It's getting better.
Right.
You're playing against a team right now that has been to the state tournament, has a high basketball intelligence level.
Yes.
So you prove for a half you can play with those guys. That second half, probably maybe the young came out a little bit. Maybe we shouldn't be in this game. But if you can continue on that road, that's going to close that gap for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. We start 2 freshmen, and they're fabulous players, but they haven't seen everything that they're going to see from good coaches and good teams, especially in this district. And so I think you're absolutely right. I think that's part of what our trouble was last night, and it's just something they've got to learn and go through, and the more they go through it, the better they're going to get.
Well, I'm going to have to say that even before the year's up, especially going into next year, Old Sparty is going to be tough to handle.
We hope so.
Going down the road with the talent you have. Franklin played Ravenwood, 61-53 loss. I know it's disappointing on your behalf because you led 3/4 of the game and then started seesawing late. Give us a little insight what happened.
We come out, we played a great first quarter. I think we were up at one point 17-4. They closed the gap near the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, we got in some bad foul trouble. Had 3 starters, I believe, sitting on the bench with 2 of which, I can't put back in because I can't have them have 3 in the first half because you got to have them. But kids fought well to stay in the game and keep the lead. It seesawed back and forth from a 2 to a 6-point game first half, and then third quarter there we just too many turnovers, and we go through spells where we turn the ball over, and we've got to limit those. We've got to cut that down a little bit. Give Ravenwood credit. Coach Whitlock does a good job, and their kids battled. They were very, very physical and took us out of some of the things we wanted to do. And we just didn't handle their pressure as well as we had been handling pressure leading up to those games.
I feel like every team has some sort of title. Right now, Ravenwood took over second place after the Tuesday night win. They're kind of that blue collar team. And then you have the height advantage of anybody right now in the district. There has some pros and cons with that. We've talked about that quite a few. I've caught Franklin. I've seen Franklin play more than anybody in the district up until this point, and it seems like we start the game off really, really well. The energy's up, and then all of a sudden we hit a little bit of a lull, whatever. Your size, the pros to your side is that you can go 6'3", 6'4" across the board, but the con to that is your guard play. When that happens, when you have some of your big guys, so that kind of throws you off possibly on doing some offensive things and getting the ball possibly to Garrison if you need it to get there. So what are some things that we're going to try to do to combat possibly the guard play and get the ball where it needs to be? I know you've kind of been working on those things.
We have. We've been working on, working with our guards to just be able to handle the pressure. We're doing a better job of playing inside out, which is a philosophy I like to play with. But
just to let you know, I drew this up for you today, just to show what we're talking about the high-low.
The high-low, I appreciate that. And those are some things that we are looking at as well, as you know. But the biggest thing is for us to be able to utilize our height, we've got to be able to handle the pressure, and we've got to be able to handle the emotions of being pressured and slow down and be able to pound it and play it inside-out game. And right now, at least on Tuesday night, we did not do that well. I thought we did that very well over the Christmas break.
Well, you did. I caught your game against Blackman. I know you lost that game, and for such thing as a good loss. We had a great first half there. Energy was there. Mixed it up defensively. Your kids really had that energy in play. And then all of a sudden we had just a little lull. And Blackman's one of those teams in 3 trips. All of a sudden it's a 9-10 point game. And I can see that there. And I saw a good win against the Mississippi team. And playing well. So I look for you guys. I mean, this is going to be such an interesting tournament. And Old Sparty's sitting down there right now. We've got the young, flashy talent, if you like to call it. And they're not flashy by no means, but they have the charisma about them to be absolute. I mean, the first time I saw you guys play, I was shocked going in. You don't have the biggest team, but let me tell you, when you get into your press and things get rolling, Preston. He comes out of nowhere and he will dunk on people. And then you've got JC sitting there. John Carter right now averaging 18, 20 a game. Yeah. Double machine. His younger brother's a freshman at guard, playing well. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going.
Yeah, I guess we're sort of the opposite of Franklin and Coach Wilson's team. We're pretty small across the board, but we try to take that away by putting a lot of pressure on the other team, and our guards are quick enough to do that if we keep them out of foul trouble, and that's the way we try to play. We don't try to be flashy, but may look like that sometimes.
Flashy was probably not a better word. It's just more of an up-tempo. That's a better word. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean for flashiness to come out.
No, that's okay. I'm sure the kids love to be called flashy. we try to up-tempo a little bit and try to keep the game at a little higher pace, and so that's the beauty of basketball. You got different styles, and the way it's all about the way you match up with people. That's why you got to play the game and see what happens. So
currently Preston has committed or signed, verbally committed and signed with Cincinnati Christian.
Cincinnati Christian.
That's an NAIA Division II group out of Cincinnati.
Correct.
And I know that John Carter, if the mail hasn't started, it will be coming.
It'll be coming, yeah. He's got some interest locally, and some guys coming to watch him play. Belmont is one of those, and when they come see him, they see his brother as well. So I think probably those freshmen here before long are going to start to get some of that interest too.
I know that speaking with Bubba Wells and those guys at Austin P, I know he's on the radar there. I know Scott Combs would love to have him at Martin Methodist right now. I just see that the world is his to have if he will continue to work through it, get mentally tough, continue on the track he's got, because I think he's a very humble kid. Flashy was a terrible word. Humble, hardworking kid, and I look forward to seeing that. Garrison Matthews right now going to Lipscomb, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I've seen flashes of Garrison that no doubt that he has, especially in the Blackman game. I saw where he's having to run that one position that's not necessarily his position to run, but when the time is tough, he's probably the man that you want to have with the ball in the hand.
He is, and no slight to anybody else on our team, but he has played very well as of late, and he struggled. He came out of football, had a little injury. He's worked through that and really started playing well and starting to come into his own, and played well again last night. Really is attacking the boards hard, starting to utilize his size in the paint, and doing a good job. Joe Critchlow as well.
That was my next point. I've dubbed Joe Critchlow during football season as Peyton Manning. In basketball season, he's Dennis Rodman.
That's it.
I mean, this guy is a trash collecting machine. He gets boards, putbacks, runouts. He'll throw the run out, obviously. I mean, he is kind of that guy that just goes and gets the dirty work.
He is. I kind of call him the glue, man. He's one of those guys that you win with. He plays so hard. He gives you everything he's got, and he does. He seems to make plays out of nothing.
Absolutely, and when you need him most too. I mean, you need that
absolutely.
Board. Defensively, does some things as well. So let's talk about the school culture a little bit. Right now the Summit squad during football season, we always said on the show if they had something to cheer for. Okay, nothing against the football team; it just didn't go as planned. If they had something to cheer for, a little success, how unbelievable they would be. Up to this point, what do they bring to the table?
I'd say I think, no offense to the other teams in the county, I think they're the best student section around.
Now, there would be some people argue with that.
And I'm a little biased.
Right now.
I'm a little biased. I know Ravenwood's got a good crew over there too, but man, those kids, they have come and supported us tremendously this year. Packed the gym almost every game, and I think we, at the Independence game last week, I think our student section went all the way to the back wall. So it's fun to watch.
Well, the Rebellion would also want to argue with that.
Sure.
I have been to a pep rally and seen every single student section. They wear me out on Twitter all the time about putting the student section power rankings, and I'm going to eventually put those out going into maybe summer break so they'll forget about it and don't come try to find me. But the Rebellion, man, they have things rolling as well. Things are going. What do they bring to the table as well at Franklin?
They bring energy. They're a sixth man, and the kids feed off of it. And it's fun to see. It's fun to watch. It creates a great atmosphere for high school athletics. Period. Not just at Franklin High School, but I've seen summits, and it does. It's fun for us to coach in, but it's even more fun for those student athletes to play in.
Would have loved to play in front of that when we were playing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
We didn't have crowds like that.
You rewind back 10, 15 years, they all have their themed nights, and obviously they have Twitter now, and they've got this going on, that going on. I think it's fantastic. Something you can't coach, something that's there.
Right.
You either have it or you don't, and right now we have it. Real quick, we have about a minute left. Let's talk about the district rundown. Who's the favorite to win the district? Maybe second, third? I know there's any team can win it, but who do you think right now the favorite to win it?
I think until somebody beats Brentwood's the favorite. Coach King does a good job. He's got 4 returning guys that played quite a bit in the state tournament, 2 or 3 that have played in 2 straight state tournaments. So they've got a lot of experience, and they've got a lot of just savvy. And as far as 2 through 6, 7, I think it's up for grabs. I mean, we're so even. The matchups are different. You talked earlier, we're really big, but everybody we play has really good guards, and that makes some matchups tough for us. So, it's going to be interesting.
Well, I appreciate so much you guys coming. Coach Ladd, Coach Wilson of the Franklin Rebels and Summit Old Spartans down there, tied for third currently. Big game tonight. Tip-off at 6 o'clock. JV starts with the girls at 3:30. Better get there early to Rebellion, and the Summit squad will be there. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been the WCS Sports Connection Preview Show. I'm Jeremy Qualls. We'll see you next time.
If we want to keep the blue in the sky, the green in the trees, we better care for the air we breathe. That it would truly be a breath of fresh air when we all can see forever through the air we breathe.